It's time to talk about why anime body pillows get 30% of their sales and why 90% of doors are closed, locked, and probably deadbolted and, throw some chains on it, right? Nobody's getting in. And lastly, I can proudly say also the reason I got my first 1,000 view video on YouTube. That's right. Harem anime. The godfather of copy and paste cliche animes, really. The Mount Everest of corny storylines and predictability, okay? Matter of fact, it's so predictable, some people start to think they're a fortune teller or some type of, prophet. Messiah, you know what I mean? Because usually they kind of just write themselves. And I say this, that means I finished a whole thing, and about 3 episodes in, I said, this is probably how it's going to end. I was right, and I still watched it anyway. Like I said, predictable, just like I'm predicting you'll subscribe to the channel after watching this. At least I hope so. But that's not all though, okay? And I know based on the things I just said, you can make assumptions about what I'm going to say about Harem Anime's rest of this video. I wouldn't do that, okay? I think you'll be surprised, actually. I really would. So just stick with it, okay? So let's talk about them. So Harem Animes, whenever they're brought up in discussions, you're usually left with one of 3 reactions from the person that had it brought up to them. One is a look of disgust with the further exhalation or being exiled of the other person from further conversation in the future at all. I mean, they're never being talked to again. Number 2, actually, you got a gentleman's hat tip from the other person because it turns out you're cultured, actually, and they just certified it with that hat tip. You have now been confirmed to be a part of a club that has certain wisdom that other people do not have, and you're now respected for it. And third, the waitress is going to look at you with a funny look because you're at a restaurant right now, what the fuck are you talking about? So anyways, as you can tell, this particular genre of anime is a divisive one. Why? I mean, people really do have their reasons, but if I'm going to tell you the truth, I'm not really sure why, actually. Like overall anyways, because no one's forcing anyone to watch it. It's just a form of entertainment, right? It really is. But with that being said, I have a YouTube channel, I'm going to talk about it anyway. And let's just help a few people out that might be watching and aren't really sure what a harem anime is. Firstly, I want to know what it's like to be so pure and how did you make it this far without being corrupted at all in your life? And secondly, let me explain, even though, let's be honest, harem anime, it kind of explains itself, but if you don't know what that word means, then I don't know. Get a dictionary, but I'll try to explain it for you. The gist of a harem anime is that there's usually a guy, protagonist, main character, they come in many different forms, shapes, sizes, personalities. Sometimes you have chads, absolute nerds, very run-of-the-mill average guys other times, but they all have one thing in common. They somehow manage to make every single female character within a vicinity fall for them with absolutely, zero fail. Almost as if he's just flying around the main character and sticking Cupid's arrows up the ass of these, women, okay? Because Cupid's arrow make people fall in love, not for any weird. Anyways, that was a weird analogy. The point is, every woman starts to drool for this main character, right? And I did put main character in quotes because, I'm really cultured, and some of you might not even know this, but there are some reverse harem animes where the chick is the main one, and then there's a bunch of dudes. I haven't exactly watched one, but I know they exist. I think I listened to like an anime opening one time, and it was like a really good anime opening. And I looked up that anime opening, and that's how I found out that those exist. Should have figured, but anyways, I'm more cultured than you because I knew that. Okay, well, I'm gonna stop stalling. Here are my thoughts on this overall genre of anime. First of all, I will confess, I kind of started watching these as like a meme. It really started off as a joke, if that makes sense. I don't know. Actually, yeah, let's talk about that. I'll explain that because it's kind of funny in some ways. I think a lot of people can relate, especially my gamer friends. My gamer friends watching this, or people I don't know that game, you'll know what I mean. So when you're with a group of, gaming buddies and you all arrange for a time to get on, right? Maybe like 10 o'clock, right? But then life happens, and then they're like an hour late, and you're just gonna get absolutely ridiculed. It's gonna happen. You were like an hour late. Sometimes you're even later. Sometimes I was that guy, put it that way. And one of my go-tos, and listen, don't look at me like that. Everybody was that guy at one point. None of you will admit it, okay? Anyways, I was that guy at one point. And as we all know, there's only like 3 different ways to avoid absolute ridicule from your friends. Number 1 is just to outright lie. I mean, you could just, say somebody died in the family or something, you had to go for a little bit, right? Number 2, you blame them for not reminding you that you should have been on because how are they going to expect you to remember anything? It's almost like you're your own person and you should like remind yourself, but it's your fault. That's why. Or anyways, third, you say something really dumb or funny to break the ice and just kind of sidetrack them off the fact that you've been gone for way too long. That's kind of my go-to. And whenever you do that, break the ice and make things kind of funny, you don't get the hate as much. It is what it is. If you didn't know that, there's a tip. Well, anyway, since we're gamers and all anime watchers, one of my go-tos would say like, hey, My bad, I wasn't here on time. I was finishing High School DxD Season 2. The plot was getting really good. Now, while I was saying this, it truly was a complete and utter lie. And I had no intentions of watching, and it was kind of just like a meme, something I knew existed. Yeah, okay, it kind of was a joke. But then after so many times of joking and, saying that, I thought, wait a minute. Maybe I should watch it. I don't know. Just for fun, right? Because then, like, whenever I bring it up and people are like, whatever. That's like the third time you said that. I'm like, no, I actually did. This could be funny. That's what I did. And oh boy, I have been a changed man ever since. And even kind of decided, you know what? This shit's funny. Okay? Secondly, low-key, it had kind of a plot. I didn't expect that to happen, right? That goes against everything I've thought of. And by the way, this is a while back, but we'll continue. And of course, I'm a fan of Booba. I'm a guy that's a fan of that. So no issues there, actually. Okay, it's a little degenerate, but it's not like I'm a hater. Anyways, upon making these discoveries that I didn't think existed in these types of animes, a new world was opened up before my eyes. Something I had never seen, only heard of in myths and passing. Harem animes were finally out there. So like when an anime was on a sketchy website and it had a little tag on it like, hey, this is what it's going to be about. Isekai, harem, whatever. I no longer ignored them whenever they said harem anymore. I didn't. They were actually watchable now. This was crazy. It's opened up a whole new world. It really did. And this leads me to why I'm here today. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been through a journey of thick and thin. In this case, mostly thick, a lot of thick, to get me where I am today. And you know what? This genre as a whole, ever since that point, I've watched more. And it has way more to offer than I would have imagined. Holy shit, there's a lot of variety, seriously. And don't get me wrong, they have a lot of the same aspects and certain things, certain ironies, certain jokes, and, certain storytelling things, because that's just what happens when you're in the same genre. But there's a lot more variety than you could have expected. Of course, you do have your stereotype ones that we talked about earlier with 20 girls liking this one dude, and, they only exist for, the purpose of trying to marry this guy, and they'll sabotage each other or sometimes even share them, because that's how it goes. And there are those, don't get me wrong. And by the way, hear me out, as long as you don't try to take them too seriously, those can be good too. But that's not what this video is about. I'm not trying to convince you to do that, trust me. And honestly, in certain cases, some of those go a little bit too far, and you're like, wait a minute, how is this even on this website? Why is this allowed? But then you realize the website was never legal to begin with. So who's really in the wrong? Like I said though, the point of me is not trying to convince you to watch any of those, or even High School DxD at all. No, not at all actually. Don't look at me like that. Trust me, that's not what I'm going for here. It's more of a, hey, I'm trying to tell you, if you're refusing to watch this genre, you're missing out on content. Even if it's not those in particular, there's different ones. Let's get into it. In my case, the Big Boob Devil Girl anime got me into the idea of being able to even watch it. It kind of removed my barriers of being able to watch them at all, right? And fuck, I ran into some of the most wholesome, even favorite animes I've ever seen. In what I would otherwise describe as a godforsaken genre. No, there is some good shit in there, okay? Even outside of just the irony and funny. Such as the quintessential quintuplets. This anime technically falls under that harem umbrella, okay? And on a bunch of websites, it's gonna have that tag on it. It does meet a lot of the general requirements, but honestly, I would recommend this show to anyone in a heartbeat with not a second thought. I would have no qualms about telling somebody about this. It's really good. I was a big fan of it, okay? Matter of fact, they had a movie not long ago. But anyways, I would recommend it to you unless you're, one of those Dragon Ball, Naruto only kind of guys. And nothing wrong with that, but I mean, something tells me you're not too willing to discover new things. And I'll spare you the full review of the quintessential quintuplets. But I will say it is a lot more tame of an anime, has a lot more wholesome moments. It's about a guy who's kind of a tutor to these girls, and they all go to school together. They hate each other at first, and things happen, and they stop hating each other. And there's some very unique things. Like I said, it's got some wholesome, it's got some funny. And on top of that, it does have a little bit of mystery, which is one thing I did not expect coming from that. Just check it out. I also watched this one other one, Trinity 7. This is one of those more serious ones. Well, or at least it feels more serious than the rest, kind of apocalypse. It was really good too. And of course, I'd be fucking lying. And I'm over here trying to say oh, but it has the quintessential quintuplets, it has this. I'm gonna keep it real with you though. I'm saying there's a lot of different ones you could like. Me personally, sometimes I need those absolutely outlandish, what the fuck am I even watching type of anime, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I need that, okay? That is peak escapism. I want no tie to reality right now. Data Life. That was a different one. Oh yeah. But I must say, for some reason, I damn near watched it all. And there's a lot of you who might not go for that type of thing. The point is, I'm actually here to say that harem anime is better than you think, as a whole. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's some that I haven't seen, or even, haven't heard of, that are absolutely the most wretched thing ever. That happens with everything, okay? But god damn it, there was some good ones. Point is, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, actually, they have mangas usually. You probably could. You probably should, actually. No, yeah, definitely do that. So this genre brought me some of the most laughs I've ever had in my entire life, and probably outclasses a lot of the other genres as far as just laughter in general, okay? Now, that isn't the only metric for something being good or doing good, but it's a pretty good one. And you know what, at this point, while I'm making this video, I'm kind of tempted to do some fucking reviews in the future of it. What do you guys think about that? You let me know. But to think this almost didn't even happen because of the genre tag. I would have never made this video if it wasn't for that one day that I was like, you know what, this joke's like jokey and all, but maybe we shouldn't unjoke it. And I was making a complete assumption about an entire genre without even watching it. Like I said a while back, but it's the truth. I mean, it's almost, and it's not really the same, but almost in a way, it's kind of like the people who saw a little bit of Dragon Ball and say they hate anime, right? It's like Dragon Ball does not encompass all of anime, not even close. It doesn't even represent most people, actually. Most people who watch Dragon Ball don't even know they're watching anime, that kind of thing, right? So it's like, how could you have made this assumption? I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, we made it though. We made it out alive. And don't get me wrong, while I'm making this video, there are some that I really do like. In no way, shape, or form are these my go-to types of anime. Not really, honestly. Now, if there's one that, I heard about that's really good, it might be go-to for a second. But like, as far as a genre being like, this is what I'm going for right here, not really. More of a ReZero kind of guy. Which I guess that has some aspects too, doesn't it? Anyways, I never actually go into them thinking I'm going to see some type of masterpiece. Not once, never have, never will. And this is actually a good thing, and maybe you should, take notes here. Instead, I'm usually just bored on, a sketchy website, and then I see something pop up, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a harem anime. And then I click on it with actually pretty low expectations, where I'm thinking, at the minimum, it's going to be horribly, bad, but badly funny. Like in the best possible way, horrible. But there is a chance you could find an absolute gem too, like I have, something that nobody's really watched. You can tell everybody about and be like, I claim this one, I found it, because nobody's watching it. And turns out it's a fucking peak anime. That happens. Wait, time out. Go into something having either good expectations, low expectations, getting something random sometimes. This kind of sounds like gambling, doesn't it? A little reward once in a while. I think I just realized harem animes are like gambling. It's like the gambling genre. To wrap things up, yes, I discovered harem anime is actually a different form of gambling while making this video, but I'm also saying they're pretty good, and I think there might be some that you might enjoy. I would probably recommend reading the synopsis first, the little story header thing before clicking on it. That could help. Probably save you from losing a few brain cells, or save you from, not realizing what this story was going to do, what was going to pop up on your screen, and then somebody at that exact same time walks into your room. Anyway, just keep it locked. Just keep the door locked anyways, but, read the synopsis. Anyways, this was my TED Talk, Shriz Talk, okay, about harem anime. Hope you guys enjoy. Proceed with caution, and good luck. Hope to see you in another video.